Imagine being diagnosed with a disease, and it's so feared and so misunderstood that you're torn from your family
Oh, wow.
and banished to a remote peninsula.
Yeah.
That was the reality for thousands in Hawaii who are grappling with leprosy,
Right.
now known as Hansen's disease.
Mm-hmm.
And today we're going on a deep dive into this very poignant chapter of history.
Okay.
We've got a whole stack of sources here.
Right.
We've got historical accounts. We've got personal stories.
Wow.
We even have some Hawaiian poetry.
Interesting.
And we're going to uncover how fear and misunderstanding really shaped the lives of those who were affected.
It's going to be fascinating to really kind of dig into all of that and see what we can uncover.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what's really striking about this story?
What's that?
Is how it intertwines medical history with the cultural fabric of Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's really a tale about the clash between Western perceptions of disease
Mm-hmm.
and the deep-rooted traditions of Native Hawaiians.
Absolutely. And before we really get into the heart of it, I think it's important to clear the air about Hansen's disease.
Yes,
You know, today it's easily curable
Right.
with antibiotics.
Yeah.
A far cry from, the terrifying, incurable plague
Yeah.
it was once perceived to be.
Right. And one of the biggest misconceptions
Yeah.
is about its contagiousness.
Oh, absolutely.
Before antibiotics were even available, studies showed that only about 5% of spouses living with patients contracted the disease.
Wow, that's a really,
That's a really low number,
yeah.
considering the level of fear
Right.
surrounding it back then. But
Yeah.
in those times, the lack of understanding led to so much stigma and
Yeah.
isolation.
It's really where the tragedy lies.
Yeah,
This fear directly contradicted the core values of Hawaiian culture.
exactly.
The concept of ohana,
Right.
which encompasses family
Yeah.
extending beyond blood ties
Uh-huh.
and the deep connection to one's birthplace.
It was paramount. So when people were exiled to the Kalapapa Peninsula,
Right.
it was like tearing their world apart.
Absolutely.
The Hawaiian term for leprosy is the separating sickness,
Wow.
and it really captures that profound sense of loss.
That's such a powerful term.
It is.
And, forced quarantine to Kalapapa wasn't just about physical separation.
Yeah.
It represented a severing of familial and cultural ties,
Right.
a disruption of everything that held meaning for many Native Hawaiians.
Now, the sources that we have paint a pretty stark picture of life at Kalapapa.
Okay.
Was it truly just a place of squalor and neglect?
Mm-hmm.
Or is there more to the story?
Well, there's definitely more nuance to it
Okay.
than that. Initially, many residents clung to the belief that their exile was temporary, that a cure was just around the corner.
Right.
This actually hindered the development of a self-sufficient community because they weren't focused on building a life there.
So their hope, however misplaced,
Yeah,
became an obstacle.
it did.
That's heartbreaking.
Indeed. And even the government's policies intended to prevent escapes ironically hindered their ability to create a sustainable agricultural system.
Wow.
So imagine the frustration of
Yeah.
wanting to build a life,
Right.
but being actively prevented from doing so.
It's a reminder of how fear and misunderstanding can create these vicious cycles.
It is.
Speaking of resistance, the story of Kulo really stands out.
Oh, yeah.
This man was not about to accept separation from his family
Right.
without a fight.
Yeah.
Kulo's story is both tragic and heroic.
It is.
He embodies the spirit of resistance against injustice.
Yeah.
Determined to remain with his family, he defied authorities,
Uh-huh.
eventually killing Sheriff Stolza,
Wow.
which led to a massive manhunt.
Yeah.
He became a folk hero, a symbol of standing up for his loved ones and his culture.
Right.
Even though he sadly succumbed to the disease after years in hiding,
Mm-hmm.
his story has been kept alive in poems, oral traditions, and even a modern play.
And we can't forget his wife, Pilani. After Kulo's death, she composed a powerful poem
Wow.
about their ordeal,
Yeah.
which speaks volumes about the strength and resilience of the human spirit when faced with unimaginable hardship.
And it's so important to hear these personal voices, to understand the human impact behind the historical events.
Absolutely.
And of course, no conversation about Kalapapa would be complete without mentioning Father Damien,
Right.
the Belgian priest who dedicated his life to improving conditions there.
Father Damien's story is often told with a savior narrative.
Right.
But we need to be cautious about oversimplification.
I agree.
While his efforts were genuine and had a significant impact, he wasn't operating in a vacuum.
Right. It's crucial to acknowledge the contributions of the Native Hawaiians themselves.
Yes.
In advocating for better treatment and care, they were fighting for their community,
Yeah.
long before Father Damien arrived.
Exactly. They were agents of change in their own right.
Yes.
And while Father Damien was eventually canonized as a saint in 2009, his story should be seen as part of a larger, more complex narrative of compassion and resilience at Kalapapa.
And it's a narrative that encompasses a staggering number of people.
Yeah.
Over 8,000 souls were exiled to Kalapapa,
Wow.
many ending up in unmarked graves.
Yeah,
The peninsula holds a heavy history.
it does. And the 14 different graveyards on the peninsula, each reflecting diverse cultural and religious traditions, really speak to the wide-ranging human cost of the disease and the policies surrounding it.
And yet, even after Hansen's disease was decriminalized in 1969,
Uh-huh.
some residents chose to remain at Kalapapa.
Really?
The place that had been forced upon them became a home,
Yeah.
a community built on shared experience.
You know, it might seem surprising, but it highlights the complex relationship people formed with the place.
Right.
As of May 2015,
Oh.
there were still 16 people alive who had lived in the colony,
Wow.
with 6 of them choosing to continue residing on the peninsula.
It's a reminder that even in a place marked by sadness and isolation, a profound sense of belonging could emerge.
Right.
And that brings us to the present day
Okay.
and the complex question of the future of Kalapapa.
Now in National Park,
Yes.
the debate centers around how to balance preserving the tranquil atmosphere of the place with making it more accessible to visitors who want to learn about this important history.
It's a difficult question
It is.
with no easy answers.
Yeah.
What should happen to this site as the remaining residents pass away?
Right.
How do we balance the needs of the present with the echoes of the past? These are just some of the questions we'll be exploring further in our deep dive.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Yeah. You know, it's fascinating to think about how the perception of Hansen's disease has shifted so dramatically over time, from a divine curse to a mark of uncleanliness.
Yeah,
It's remarkable how scientific understanding has really reshaped our view.
it really has.
Today, we know it is a bacterial infection,
Right.
treatable with antibiotics.
Yeah, and that shift in understanding makes you wonder what other health conditions we
Yeah.
might be misinterpreting today.
Right.
What are we still getting wrong? Due to fear or lack of complete information?
Precisely, the story of Hansen's disease in Hawaii serves as a stark reminder of how crucial scientific understanding is
Yes.
in dispelling harmful myths and stereotypes.
And speaking of stereotypes,
Yeah.
it's important to revisit the narrative
Okay.
surrounding Father Damien.
Right.
Well, we can't deny his dedication to the people of Kalapapa.
Uh-huh.
We should be cautious about portraying him as a lone savior,
Yeah.
rescuing a helpless population.
Absolutely. That kind of white savior narrative often overshadows the agency and resilience of Native Hawaiians.
Yes.
Remember, they were advocating for better treatment and care long before Father Damien arrived,
Right.
playing a crucial role in shaping the community at Kalapapa.
It's also essential to understand that the conditions at Kalapapa weren't solely a result of neglect or mismanagement.
Oh, right.
The initial belief held by many residents that their exile was temporary played a role in delaying the development of self-sufficiency.
And let's not forget the government policy.
Right.
That, while intended to prevent escapes, unintentionally hindered agricultural development.
It's a complex interplay of factors,
It is.
not a simple story of good versus evil.
Right. It's anything but straightforward.
Amidst all this complexity, though, the stories of individuals like Kulo shine through.
Yeah.
His resistance wasn't just about personal freedom. It was about protecting his family and the values of his culture.
His story resonates deeply with the Hawaiian concept of ohana, the interconnectedness of family and community.
Yes.
Even though his actions ultimately ended tragically,
Right.
they continue to inspire generations of Hawaiians.
It's amazing how Kulu's story has been passed down through generations
Yeah.
via oral traditions, poems, and even a modern play.
That speaks volumes
It does.
about the power of storytelling to preserve cultural memory.
And the fact that his wife Pialani composed a poem about their ordeal
Right.
adds another layer of depth and emotion to this narrative.
Absolutely.
It allows us to hear a voice that is often missing from historical accounts. The voice of a woman struggling with the loss of her husband and the disruption of her family.
It's incredible how these personal stories illuminate the human impact
Yeah,
of large-scale historical events.
they do.
They remind us that beyond the statistics and political maneuvering,
Hmm.
there are real people living through these challenges,
Right.
experiencing joy, sorrow, love, and loss.
And that's precisely why this deep dive is so compelling.
Yes.
It's not just a dry recitation of facts.
Right.
It's an exploration of human resilience, cultural clashes,
Yeah.
and the evolving understanding of a disease that once instilled terror around the world.
And it's also a reminder that history isn't just something we read about in textbooks.
Yes.
It's alive in the stories we tell, the values we uphold, and the ways we approach contemporary challenges.
The legacy of Hansen's disease in Hawaii continues to shape the islands today.
It does.
From the ongoing debate about the future of Kalapapa National Park to the efforts to preserve the stories and memories of those who lived and died there.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to encourage you to consider the parallels between this historical episode and the health challenges we face today.
Okay.
How can we approach issues like stigma, misinformation, and access to care with the same compassion and understanding we see in the story of Hansen's disease in Hawaii?
It's an important question to consider
It is.
as we navigate the complexities of the modern world
Right.
and work to create a future where health and well-being are valued and accessible to all.
You know, it's striking how much the story of Kalapapa revolves around conflicting narratives. We have the historical accounts often shaped by Western perspectives,
Right.
and then we have the lived experiences of the native Hawaiians,
Yeah.
passed down through generations.
Yeah. That tension between different viewpoints is essential to understanding the full scope of this history.
It is.
We can't rely solely on official records or the accounts of outsiders.
Right.
We need to delve into the oral histories, the poems, the songs that capture the voices of those directly impacted by the exile.
And it makes you think about how that saying goes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, history is written by the victors.
Right.
But in this case, we have this incredible opportunity to hear from those who were often marginalized
Yeah,
and misrepresented,
absolutely.
to get a glimpse into their experiences in their own words.
That's why the work being done to preserve the cultural memory of Kalapapa
Right.
is so important, collecting those oral histories, documenting traditional practices,
Yeah.
and sharing these stories with a wider audience
Yeah.
ensures that these voices aren't lost to time.
It's a powerful reminder that history isn't just about dates and events.
Right.
It's about the people who lived through those times.
Yeah.
Their struggles,
Yeah.
the triumphs, and the legacies they left behind.
Yeah. And the legacy of Kalapapa is so multifaceted.
Really is.
It's a place of immense sorrow, a stark reminder of the devastating impact of fear and misunderstanding.
Right.
But it's also a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, the power of community,
Yes.
and the enduring strength of cultural traditions.
Speaking of community, I was really struck by the fact that even after Hansen's disease was decriminalized, some residents chose to stay in Kalapapa.
Oh, wow, yeah.
That speaks volumes about the bonds they formed,
Mm-hmm.
the sense of belonging they found in a place that was initially forced upon them.
It really does highlight the complex relationship people developed with the place.
Yes.
For some, Kalapapa became more than just a place of exile. It became
Yeah.
a sanctuary,
Yeah.
a place where they could live out their days in peace, surrounded by others who understood their experiences.
It challenges our assumptions about what home really means.
It does.
It's not always just a physical location.
Right.
It can also be about a feeling of connection, a shared history, and that deep sense of mutual understanding.
And as we consider the future of Kalapapa National Park,
Right.
it becomes even more important to find a balance between preserving this history and allowing for greater accessibility.
Yeah. How do we ensure that future generations can learn from this past
Right.
without disrupting the peace and tranquility
Yeah.
that so many associate with the peninsula?
It's a question with no easy answers.
It's how do you reconcile those competing needs?
Right.
But I think by having open and honest conversations,
Yeah.
listening to the perspectives of those who have a deep connection to Kalapapa,
Uh-huh.
and always prioritizing respect and sensitivity, we can find a path forward that honors the past
Right.
while ensuring that its lessons continue to resonate.
This deep dive has been a journey of discovery, wouldn't you say?
Really has.
We've uncovered layers of history, challenged assumptions, and encountered stories of immense hardship, but also remarkable resilience.
It's been a truly humbling experience, a reminder that there's always more to learn,
Absolutely.
more perspectives to consider, and more stories waiting to be unearthed.
Yeah.
And as we go about our lives, I hope we can carry with us the lessons we've learned from Kalapapa, the importance of empathy, the dangers of stigma, and the enduring power of the human spirit.
Let's all strive to approach health challenges, both personal and societal,
Yeah?
with compassion, understanding, and a commitment to seeking truth and justice.
Yes.
Because it's in those moments of empathy and understanding that we truly honor the legacy of those who came before us
I agree.
and pave the way for a more just and compassionate future for everyone.